Hey guys, thanks to the news that LEGO Lord of the Rings will be returning next year in 2026 with multiple sets, including cheap ones, I thought it'd be a good idea to talk about what potentially we could be getting next year in 2026 for the LEGO Lord of the Rings theme. The fact that we know we're going to get cheaper sets next year means that I'm hoping we actually finally get play sets for this LEGO Lord of the Rings theme, which has predominantly been about these massive big direct-to-consumer sets. I think cheaper sets for Lord of the Rings is obviously a good idea because it allows people who have got a budget to actually properly get invested in the theme and buy multiple sets. So what we're going to do in this video is discuss what we could potentially see next year for the LEGO Lord of the Rings theme in 2026. I've come up with a very realistic summer wave containing 6 sets ranging from $20 to $150. I'm hoping there's a good chance that a few of these will come out next year, and I think we've got a good chance with a couple of them as well. I've tried to make it as realistic as possible. So starting for the cheapest set, and this will be $20, I'm going to be completely realistic with what we can expect and also the minifigures. This set will be Shelob's Attack. Now we actually got this set way back in the day for the LEGO Lord of the Rings theme, and it will make a perfect remake. At this spot I would have gone for Gandalf's cart, but we got that in the Shire set this year. And to be honest, the Shelob's Attack does sound to be a bit more interesting than the Gandalf's cart anyway. I think it would be very similar to this set, which is the Aragog set, which came out for the LEGO Harry Potter theme quite recently. That set was also $20 and came with a couple of minifigures. I would like to see 3 minifigures for this set if possible. There would be Samwise Gamgee holding the Phial of Galadriel. I think this would be a really cool piece. I don't know if they'd mold it or just give us a stud because it is LEGO after all, but at least make it glow in the dark. We would obviously also need to get Frodo Baggins, and ideally some string for us to wrap around him. And for the third figure you could go with Gollum, but I've gone ahead with an orc because we just don't have enough of those anyway. I've got about 3 Gollums at this point. And I think throwing 1 or 2 orcs in a $20 set would be a really good way to make it sort of army buildable. Army of Shelob's spiders versus orcs. That would be an interesting battle. Now the next set is going to be at $30 and I want this to be the Gates of Moria. I think this would be a really cool set, especially if it comes with the monster in the water. With a play feature for the door to open and then collapse in on itself, I think that would be a really cool set, not only for kids but for the adults as well. I think a set like this, while being cheap, presents a good opportunity to collect a lot of the Fellowship characters, which are usually reserved for more expensive sets. I think the characters which have to be included are Gandalf, because he's the one who speaks the password to enter the actual mines. I think we'd also need to get Frodo Baggins as well as the ring carrier, and he's the one who actually gives Gandalf the idea for the password in the first place. I think Gimli would be really cool in this set because he's the one most enthusiastic about entering the mines in the first place. It's his idea of why they're there. And maybe even someone like Boromir, who we've only had as a LEGO minifigure twice, I believe. Once in 2012 and once in 2023 for Rivendell. So both of those minifigures are worth a lot of money on the aftermarket. We could also get a horse, but the set would basically be the shoreline, a bit of the water, the monster, and obviously the rock face and the mines of Moria's entrance. Now moving up to $50, and this is one of the sets I'm most passionate about. It is Eowyn versus the Witch King. I think a set like this is very likely considering we had a Nazgul type build with a gift of purchase for the Barad-dûr set, and the wings are still in production not only from that gift of purchase but from the currently on sale Balrog set, which uses the same wings for some reason. I mean, I guess it works, but obviously the Witch King's fell beast is a bit bigger and more significant than just a random fell beast, so it'd have some armor on him and maybe even a molded head, especially at that $50 price point. But the most significant part about this set are the 3 minifigures we would get, those being Eowyn, which we've never had in LEGO before, believe it or not, the Witch King, which we've technically had in a Hobbit set, but it was in a completely different aesthetic to what we'd get in this Lord of the Rings set. And then the third minifigure I'd like to see is King Theoden, because one of my favourite minifigures of all time was the Theoden minifigure which came in the Battle of Helm's Deep, because he looked really cool. The detail and passion that LEGO put into making this minifigure the best it could be. Like, the armor detail is so good, and I'd love to see that minifigure being recreated at the same level today. And because that minifigure from the Battle of Helm's Deep now is worth an absolute fortune, I think this set definitely has the best potential for just awesome minifigures. However, the next set has got a lot more minifigures, but before we get into it, I just want to let you guys know that tomorrow on Saturday the 28th of June at 7 PM UK time, I'm hosting a massive Whatnot live stream. I'm going to be auctioning off over 200 LEGO Harry Potter minifigures, all of them starting off at just £1. I'm also going to be auctioning off some classic LEGO Harry Potter sets and giving away a bunch of LEGO stuff as well. So even if you don't want to buy anything, you don't want to miss out on those giveaways because they're going to be completely free to enter. But if you sign up to Whatnot using the QR code on screen now or using the link pinned at the top of the description or the comment section, you'll be given £10 or $15 free credit to use on my live stream to pick yourself up some free LEGO Harry Potter minifigures. It's a no-brainer. So make sure to don't miss out on my next Whatnot live stream taking place tomorrow, Saturday the 28th of June at 7 PM UK time. I'll see you there. Right, now getting back to the video, we have got the Prancing Pony for the $70 set. Now this set I'm a little less confident that LEGO will make it because LEGO don't seem to be keen on making establishments which sell alcohol, especially as play sets. For example, for the LEGO Harry Potter theme, we've never had the Leaky Cauldron for some reason, even though it is an iconic scene. And I think the commonly understood reason for that is because it's an establishment which sells alcohol. That would obviously fall true under the Prancing Pony as well, but let's just theorise for a second. We could obviously get the Prancing Pony, including some of the road in front of it, but the big thing about this set would be those minifigures, and I've got 8 minifigures which I would like to see in this set. Those are Frodo and Sam, Mary and Pippin, which are actually quite hard to get a hold of in LEGO Lord of the Rings sets these days. It only came in Rivendell, but obviously that's a very expensive set. The Strider, who's obviously Aragorn, which I think we've never had in that particular aesthetic before. You could even have some sort of cloth hood, which I think would be really cool to have in this set. We would obviously need the barman as well, I think, including 2 ring wraiths on those black horses. If they're going to combine everything into one building for the set, which LEGO would probably do, I think it needs to have 3 floors. You would have Aragorn's room, where Frodo, Sam, Mary and Pippin hide out away from the Nazgul, the empty bedroom, and obviously the bar room, which would be the ground floor at the bottom. Now for a $100 set, I think this one is a bit more realistic than the Prancing Pony. I would like to see Edoras. I don't know why, but we've never had Edoras made in LEGO before, which is a bit bizarre, but I guess it's not too bizarre considering we've never had Minas Tirith either. However, Minas Tirith is going to be quite difficult. I'm sure it will be made eventually, but I don't know how they're going to do it. Probably micro scale, but it's definitely not one for this particular list. Edoras, especially that main building, is definitely a lot more realistic to do in LEGO. You could easily do it for $100 because the hall inside is quite empty and it would just basically be the main hall. You could have some other rooms off to the side, but it's not that important. And we have many scenes in Edoras, but the main one I'd like to depict is the first time we see it in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. This is where Gandalf the White frees Theoden from Saruman's curse. So ideally for minifigures we'd obviously have Gandalf the White, which we haven't had as a minifigure in a very long time. King Theoden, both before the curse and after the curse, so we'd have 2 King Theoden minifigures. I think that would be really cool to have. We've obviously never had Theoden when he's under the curse, so I think it would be really cool to get that minifigure. I would throw another Fellowship member in there as well, maybe Legolas, as well as Éomer and 2 other Rohan soldiers who could be guarding the building at the front, but the most important minifigure to have would obviously be Grima Wormtongue, who, if you don't know, we've had once before in the LEGO Lord of the Rings Tower of Orthanc set back in 2012 I believe, and that is now the most expensive LEGO Lord of the Rings minifigure on the aftermarket, worth about $150 US. And that's far too much for any normal person to go out and buy, so I think releasing him in a more attainable $100 set will be greatly appreciated amongst the LEGO Lord of the Rings community. And finally, for the last set at $150, we have a Mummakill. And if you don't know what a Mummakill is, it's also known as an Oliphant, which is a giant elephant basically. These were most famously seen at the Battle of Minas Tirith, which this will be based on. We wouldn't get any of the Minas Tirith building for this set because, like I said before, I don't really know how LEGO would do it. It's quite tricky. They'd probably end up only doing part of it, but the main part of this set is obviously going to be that Mumma kill, which I think on a $150 budget you could do to great detail. We would obviously have to get Legolas and Gimli in this set so we could replicate that scene.
That still only counts as one!
I absolutely love it. We'd also get some Haradrim soldiers, probably a couple of the warriors on top, as well as the driver who looks completely crazed out of his mind. But the minifigures I want to see most out of this set, the Haradrim warriors I don't really care for. Even Legolas and Gimli would get in cheaper sets. The main minifigures I would need to see in this set are the Army of Ghost minifigures, which may sound unrealistic, but we got those minifigures in the past in a Lord of the Rings set on the big boat. I believe we got 3 of them, and I think including 3 of them in this Mumma kill set would be just as feasible. Those minifigures were glow in the dark, and to this date remain as one of my most favourite Lord of the Rings minifigures, along with that King Theoden minifigure from the Battle of Helm's Deep. Right, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure to turn up to my next Whatnot live stream taking place this Saturday the 28th of June at 7 PM UK time. I'll see you there.